My Best Wife. A journey of love and LightIn, a small town nestled between rolling hills and whispering pines. I met the woman who would become the heartbeat of my life, Amara. This is the story of my best wife. A tale woven from countless moments that sparkle like stars in the tapestry of our years together. It was a crisp autumn day when I first saw her. I was 27, a bit rough around the edges, working as a carpenter in our little town. The local bookstore was hosting a poetry reading, and though I wasn't much for poems, I wandered in, drawn by the promise of free coffee. Amara stood at the podium, her voice like a melody, reading verses about love and the sea. Her eyes, a deep hazel, seemed to hold stories of their own. I was smitten before she finished the first stanza. We didn't talk that day. I was too shy, and she was surrounded by admirers. But fate has a way of weaving paths together. A week later, at the town's harvest festival, I found her struggling with a heavy basket of apples she'd bought for her classroom. She was a third-grade teacher, loved by every kid in town. I offered to carry it, and that was the start. A simple gesture, a shared laugh over a dropped apple, and suddenly we were talking like old friends. Amara was unlike anyone I'd ever met. She had this way of making the ordinary feel extraordinary. A walk through the park became an adventure, as she pointed out the way leaves danced in the wind, or how a squirrel seemed to be plotting world domination. She saw the world with a child's wonder, but carried the wisdom of someone who'd faced life's storms. She'd lost her mother young, and had grown up helping her father raise her younger siblings. That strength, that quiet resilience, was the foundation of who she was. We dated for 2 years before I proposed. I was nervous, fumbling with a simple gold ring I'd saved for months to buy. I took her to the lake where we'd had our first real date, under a sky painted with sunset hues. I got down on one knee, my words a jumbled mess, but she didn't care. She said yes before I could finish, her laughter mixing with tears as she pulled me into a hug. That moment, with the water lapping at the shore and her arms around me, is one I'll carry forever. Our wedding was simple, held in her father's backyard with fairy lights strung through the trees and her students giggling as they tossed flower petals. Amara was radiant in a white dress she'd found at a thrift store, her hair woven with wildflowers. We danced to an old jazz record, her head on my shoulder, and I knew I'd found my home life with Amara was never perfect, but it was ours. She'd wake up early to grade papers, humming softly as she worked, while I'd make us coffee so strong it could wake the neighbors. We'd argue sometimes, about my habit of leaving tools everywhere or her tendency to overcommit to school projects, but we always found our way back to each other. She had this saying, "Love isn't about never fighting, it's about always fixing." And we did. Every time. One of my favorite memories is from our 3rd year of marriage. Money was tight. I'd lost a big contract, and she was working extra hours tutoring. Christmas was coming, and we couldn't afford much. I caught her one night, sneaking out of bed to wrap a small gift in newspaper. She'd made me a scrapbook, filled with photos, ticket stubs, and little notes from our life together. She'd spent weeks on it, pouring her heart into every page. I still get choked up thinking about it. That same Christmas, I surprised her with a wooden bookshelf I'd carved myself, etched with her initials. We sat there, surrounded by our modest gifts, feeling richer than kings. Amara's love extended beyond me. She was the kind of person who'd bake cookies for the neighbor who never smiled or spend hours helping a shy student find their voice. She'd come home exhausted but glowing, telling me stories about her kids' triumphs. I used to tease her that she was everyone's mom, but secretly I admired it. She made the world better, one small act at a time. When we found out she was pregnant, it felt like the universe had handed us a miracle. We spent nights dreaming about our child. Would they have her eyes, my stubborn streak? She'd sing to her belly old lullabies her mother had taught her. But life, as it does, threw us a curveball. The pregnancy was hard, and there were complications. I'll never forget the fear in her eyes, or the way she held my hand through every doctor's visit, still finding ways to make me laugh. Our daughter Lily was born healthy, and Amara's strength.